Bettor Sports Betting is your home for picks, props, and futures for tonight's action. Bettor Sports Betting wants to know what picks you're playing tonight. Tell us in the live chat on YouTube, Twitter, and the Bettor Sports Network app. This is Bettor Sports Betting with Fantasy Alarm's Dan Servodidio.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome in here to the Bettor Sports Betting Show on Bettor Sports Network and Fantasy Alarm. Appreciate you all joining us here today. We got a full slate of, not a full slate, a couple afternoon games, but plenty of MLB games to get to for our picks tonight. I got James Grande with me in his Giants jersey because we're talking some NFL later today. What's up, James?
What's going on, Servo? Happy Thursday. You know, Thursday, we're ever so close to the weekend.
Yeah, we are.
Ooh, I'm excited, and not too long from now, Servo. Every Thursday, we're gonna log on here, and then football's gonna be right around the corner. So we'll be able to talk some NFL weekly, week to week basis. So looking forward to that. So yeah, Saquon, please sign the contract, man. Please.
Yeah, the Thursday shows will be nice because we can dive into like a ton of player props and stuff for the Thursday night game. Same thing with like the Monday night shows. And then obviously we'll be doing tons of NFL content this off season before all that. But yes, today, so you got the Giants jersey on because we are talking some NFC East and some NFL futures from that division with Jeff Paur from RealTime Fantasy Sports, rtsports.com. You guys know the site. You guys been playing on it, so we'll have him on to talk some best ball contest giveaway that we'll be giving out, and some futures odds to get you guys just dip your toes in some NFL because it is, the calendar in us in the industry, the calendar always flips, around July 4th where we got to get into the football talk because we got training camp starting up soon and tons of news to get to. You mentioned Saquon. I mean, We'll see what happens with him. We'll talk to Jeff about that as well. But yeah, so some interesting NFL talk on the way today, which will be awesome. But yeah, tons of baseball content to get to in the meantime. And let's dive right in with our best bets for tonight. What do you got for your top pick here?
Yeah, so I'm a little confused on this one, Servo. I'm going to go Nathan Eovaldi over 4.5 strikeouts. And it's not, minus 150 on DraftKings, something you probably want to parlay. We both have a boatload of player props that we can parlay with, but
yeah,
can someone explain why Nathan Eovaldi, who's been one of the league's best pitchers this year, who has 106 strikeouts, 112 innings this year, is that a 4.5 number? I mean, when you look up and down Nathan Eovaldi's game logs this year, he has made 17 starts, Servo. Okay?
Yep.
15 of them, he has struck out 5 or more. And then you take a look at Boston. Right. Like, right away, like, you're like, okay, like, that's a pretty good number. And, like, 4.5 is not a big number. Like, I can understand if this was 5.5, 6.5, because largely this year, Boston hasn't been a team that strikes out a lot. But you start looking at things over the last 2 weeks. Boston has the 4th highest strikeout rate in the league against right-handed pitching at nearly 27%, which is not a small number. And now you're getting a guy who might start the All-Star game, who could very well be the second in the Cy Young race behind Shane McClanahan, if not first, if McClanahan, continues to miss time, and I know like he was just placed on the IL, so could be eventually the front runner by the time like we come out of the break. Like, what am I missing? This is the first thing I saw, and I was like, this is easy. I feel like this. Now I said that last night. I took a Justin Steele strikeout prop and against the Brewers, who strike out more than anyone, and I felt really confident about that one. And that one didn't, they don't always play out, but like. This game total is interesting. Eovaldi, used to pitch in Boston. He knows how to navigate Fenway. Nothing lined up on this strikeout prop except the fact that Vegas is on my side, minus 150. I'm taking the Eovaldi over 10 out of 10 times if it's set up 4.5.
Yeah, and to your point, the juice has moved a little bit, minus 165 now on DraftKings. So you can still get it to parlay it with something else. But, yeah, it's moving towards 5 there, and even on FanDuel, I'm looking at right now, it's at 5.5. So it's moved over there, and yeah, people are on your side. But I looked at this prop as well, and definitely liked it. And now that you packed it too, I'll probably be more on it now. But to push back just a little bit because of what you mentioned, that Justin Steele prop yesterday, that was one that Howard gave out on the show. A lot of people were on it around. And now Colby Conway gave it out on his Prize Picks video. It's just like one of those things that the line seemed a little fishy because it was too low, and he ended up going under. So maybe that's just, keeping that back of your mind here with Eovaldi. But I agree that all the stats are pointing to the over here, so I can't knock it.
Like sometimes, I'm not one, those are apples to apples comparisons, like Justin Steele, obviously he didn't look great yesterday. He could have, very tilting, but he could have came out for the 7th. He only threw 88 pitches, right? But he didn't look great in that final inning. Complete different matchup, but the Red Sox are striking out a lot. Eovaldi's been arguably the best pitcher in the American League from pillar to post as we head into the All-Star break. He knows how to pitch in this. I mean, his ascent to where he is now started in Boston over the last couple of years. He's been able to pitch in Fenway over the last couple of years and pitch really well at that. So I don't know, just a little fishy. And then you mentioned the odds over on FanDuel. The line sits at 5.5, which is more so where I think it would sit, or 5.5, 6 even. So but if you don't get it now, it's probably going to end at 5 or higher, like you mentioned, as the juice continues to pour in on the Eovaldi prop. But while you can still get it at 4.5, I don't feel like it's a trap. I didn't feel like it was a trap for the and again, it's just before we move on. I know I'm long-winded and stuff, but the Justin Steele prop, honestly, Serva, I would take that again, knowing what I know again. The numbers, everything pointed to Justin Steele over 5.5 strikeouts. He came out in the 6th, strikeout. I was like, wait, we're going to do it. And then he got in some trouble, and of course it didn't happen. But I would do it again because the numbers are telling you, okay, Justin Steele is a good strikeout arm. The Brewers strike out more than anyone in baseball against lefties. And now the numbers are saying, hey, Boston's striking out the 4th highest rate in baseball against righties recently. Nathan Eovaldi has 15 of 17 starts with 5 or more strikeouts. So, at this number, I'm taking the over every time.
And he's got some strong numbers on the road too. So it's not like you'd be scared off. And you mentioned he's familiar with Fenway, so he knows how to navigate that park in terms of strikeouts. So yeah, I can back that. All right, my best bet for tonight, I'm going with the Guardians on the run line, -1.5 on the run line there. Got it -105 on DraftKings. They're going against Jordan Lyles here with Kansas City. Lyles 6.68 ERA this year, and 8.02 ERA on the road as well. He won his last start, which was his first win of the year, but before that, I mean, he's just getting rocked every start, and it's a guy we've been fading consistently all year. So I'll do it here. Especially with the Guardians being, a top 10, 5 to 10 offense over the past month against right-handed pitching in the past couple of weeks. And they're in the better end of their splits, a better offense against righties than lefties lately. So I like that side of things for sure. And then the other side, it's Tanner Beebe, strong 2.38 home ERA this year compared to 4.65 road ERA. So he's in the favorable end of his home road splits. And I've been really impressed with the rookie, and I've been targeting him every time he is at home because of those numbers. And he's come through a number of times. And the Royals just terrible against right-handed pitching all season. We've been fading him. And, the league's worst offense in terms of WOBA and WRC plus over the past week against righties, 251 WOBA, 54 WRC plus. So I feel confident in BB having success here. And then just some added gravy on top. We have the Royals as the worst team against the run line spread on the road this year at just a 39% cover rate. And the Guardians, they're coming off a tough series against Atlanta at home. They're staying home here for this start of the Royals series. And I just think that flip from facing the Braves to the Royals here is going to be a really good jump start for them just to kind of bounce back and get a confident, win here. So I'd like the run line there for them to win by at least 2.
Dude, if we went back in the archives here every Thursday, you and I have to talk more Guardians than anyone else. You and I have to place more Guardians bets than anybody else.
Well, that their offense, they started out terrible, but their
I
offense
know
has
they
picked
did.
it up. So
I can't I like this too because I'm a Tanner Bybee backer. As I see, in our show sheet, you and I have the same exact best bet that we're gonna get to as well, or one same other bet that we're gonna get to. And
yeah,
I love Bybee in this spot, and I mean, dude, the Twins pitching again, not apples to apples, but did you see what a series against the Twins looked like for the Royals offense? I mean, they struck
yeah,
out astronomical amounts for the last few days, and that's just kind of what they've been against right-handed pitching, and it's not going to stop here with a stud rookie and Bybee going on, coming off 2 of his better starts, and then
yeah,
like you said, Jordan Lyles. Nobody allows more fly balls in power than Jordan Lyles. So
yeah.
I love this pick, and I think you're getting some pretty good value, almost plus money on that too.
Almost there, yeah. Well, let's get to the Bybee strikeout prop here because we're both on it here. We're both
Yep.
on the over, and it's you have plus money on DraftKings, and it's a little bit more juiced on BetMGM, but basically plus odds on both, which I think we both looked at and love getting those plus odds because you mentioned it. So I'll let you go first, just back in Bybee here, but I think we're both going to give out some of the same advice here.
Yeah, I mean, again, the Royals' offense has been, and I
Terrible.
know this. I mean, it's been bad, and losing Vinny Pasquantino obviously left a giant hole in the middle of that lineup.
Yeah.
But as a Twins backer, okay, I'm a Twins truther. Although I'm a Yankees fan, I bleed this red and blue that the Twins have. I also have 4 of their starters in FSGA, and all 3 of them faced the Royals this week. Pablo
Hopefully
Lopez.
one of them Pablo Lopez.
It was
night.
complete game shutout. I had Kenta Maeda 7 innings, 9 strikeouts, and I had Joe Ryan 6 innings, 9 strikeouts. They are getting destroyed without Pasquantino, who puts bats on ball. It's been tough sailing for them, and now he's out for the year, and they're just, they called up Drew Waters he came back from the IL. He strikes out a lot, although he's a good prospect. They just strike out. Even their best players, Bobby Witt strikes out, Salvi strikes out.
Yeah.
I love Bybee to go over 6.5. If you are somebody who likes to play waterfalls, Servo, tonight, Bybee had the 9 strikeouts his last time out. He had 7 the start before. This might be a situation where you do 6.5, 7.5. I could see. I'm not going to predict 10 strikeouts here for Bybee because that's a lot. But I could see a scenario where he gets double digits tonight.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so he's had just to add on to that, for him, he's had 7+ strikeouts in 4 of his 6 home starts this season. I mentioned he's got a 2.38 ERA at home this year. But yeah, he's had the strikeout numbers at home for sure, and he's been right around this K prop. 6.5 is the number, but he's had 6+ strikeouts in 5 of his last 7. And you mentioned he had a 9 strikeout game there, 7 strikeouts. He's had 8 a couple times, so he's been right around there in the mix there. So I like it. Even at 6.5 plus money, I'll take the over here. You mentioned you can go with an 8+ strikeout game, 9+ strikeout game. I could definitely see that happening. And by the way, we got a Better Boss chiming in on YouTube chat here saying it's a good play against Jordan Lyles. This ain't 2022. Yeah, Jordan Lyles this year, it's because he plays for the Royals, he'll still be starting games for them. But if he was on any other team, he wouldn't be in the rotation. So, Jason Jackson too. Love this. He said he's also locked in on BB. I love that. Yeah, we'll definitely ride him tonight. And I like the Guardians run line for that reason. I mean, it's because of Tanner Bybee. By the way, we got to bring on Jeff Power here, but before we do that, just got to talk about this real-time fantasy sports pick'em contest they got going on. We've been mentioning this a lot on the show this week because they got some. It's an awesome prop contest, and we're giving out props here. But you can go play that real-time sports daily pick'em contest right now. Just go over to rtsports.com/BSN or rtsports.com/alarm. First-time depositors, you can get 100% instant match up to $200 with deposit code alarm23 or BSN23, wherever you're going website-wise /BSN/alarm. But please play responsibly, and for help, call 1-800-GAMBLER as always. And just for this pick'em contest, I'll throw out a couple because I think we're both on Tanner Bybee here, and his prop there is at 6 strikeouts. So going more than 6 strikeouts on Tanner. And then I'm just going Carlos Carrasco less than 4 strikeouts in his matchup against the Arizona Diamondbacks. I mean, Carrasco not a big strikeout arm this season for sure. So I see the Diamondbacks matchup here on the road is tough for him. I don't think he's going to be racking up strikeouts in that one. So yeah, less than 4 strikeouts on that one. Tanner Bybee, more than 6 strikeouts. Definitely go over to rtsports.com/alarm and you can get that deposit match up to $200 with a promo code alarm23. And let's now get to some NFL talk because we got to bring in Jeff Paur here from Real-Time Fantasy Sports, rtsports.com. What's up, Jeff? Appreciate you joining us here for some from football talk.
Great to be on with both of you guys. Really appreciate you having me on. Excited to talk some football with both you and James.
Awesome. Yeah, and we're doing a giveaway here. I got to mention that right off the start because we got to get people into this chance to win, a chance to enter the best ball championship that's going over at rtsports.com. Grand prize is $25,000. Go to rtsports.com/bestball to get in, $20 entry. But you get that grand prize of $25,000 in that best ball championship. Draft best ball lineups, best lineup every week. If you don't know how best ball works, you kind of set it and forget it. But there's drafts happening every night until the NFL season kicks off. If you use promo code alarm23 at rtsports.com/alarm, you can get that entry. But we're giving away an entry right now. So the first person right now, if you're watching right now, wherever you're watching, YouTube, Twitter, on the Discord chat, just enter in the chat right now with a bet that you're placing tonight. It could be MLB, could be NBA Summer League, anything going on. Just enter in the chat a bet that you are placing, and you'll be the first person that does it. You'll be a free entry into one of these best ball leagues, this best ball championship. So go do that now. Our producer will be connecting with you to get in there. But Jeff, just give us a real quick rundown of this best ball championship. I mean, awesome time for guys to just and girls to just set a lineup, forget about it, but check back in throughout the season, see how they're doing.
Yeah, definitely. Our best ball championship is the fastest growing game on our site. Everybody loves these best ball leagues. It's like you said, set it and forget it. Everybody loves drafting. That's the best part of fantasy football in most cases. So you get the draft. You don't have to worry about setting your lineup every week. You just set it, forget it. It's deeper rosters, so you have a deep bench as well to make up for injuries happen during the season because there's no transactions. But it's a great championship, a lot of fun. It sells out every year as well. I would suggest signing up sooner than later. You don't have to draft right away. Just sign up, get in the contest, and draft whenever you feel like you want to kick off the fantasy football season.
Love it. Yeah. And let's talk some NFL futures odds here. And we're going to focus on the NFC East and, put your NFC East cap on right now. I know James has his Giants jersey on, so he's ready to talk some NFC East.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
got his Saquon jersey on.
Please sign, please.
Let's start with my team. I'm a Philadelphia guy, so I got to talk Eagles here. Their win total right now at 11.5. Minus 110 on the over or under there. They are the favorites to win the division as well. But what are you seeing for the Eagles this year? I mean, not much moving parts. Miles Sanders was the main guy to leave their offense, but a lot of the same faces. A couple different guys on defense. But what are you kind of seeing from a broad picture here for the Eagles, whether it's offensively or defensively?
I think they're ready to go make another run at the Super Bowl. They have a young team. Jalen Hurts is ready to keep taking steps forward. So that offense is exciting. I think the running back situation is one you got to keep an eye on. DeAndre Swift, Rashad Penny should be splitting the load there most likely. They don't have Miles Sanders anymore. It's one issue I think you want to keep an eye on. But overall, I think they're set up for another really good season. I think they're the favorites to win the division. It's a really good division, though. I know a lot of people overlook the Giants and the Commanders, though, but they both had solid years last year. Giants won 9 games. Commanders won 8-1. They're both those teams are looking better as well. So I think it's a really tough NFC East this year, but the Eagles are my favorite to win it all. I think they're going to have a really good season once again.
Nice.
Tough to hear. Tough to hear. Tough to hear, Jeff. Tough to hear. Because you bring up the Washington Commanders 8-1, and maybe that should have been 9-7-1 if not for a pass interference call that went in my team's favor late in the year and led to a victory. I'm not going to obviously complain, but what do we make of Washington? Just as a whole, like, are they really? Do you set out to enter the year with Sam Howell at quarterback, or do you think Jacoby Brissett is going to take the job? And which one do you think gives them a better chance to win? I mean, the odds are set at 6.5 wins, and slight lean on the over as well. Like, what do you make of the Commanders' best chance of winning? Is that Sam Howell, or do you think Jacoby Brissett provides them that opportunity?
That's a great question. I actually think Sam Howell probably has the higher ceiling, so he excites me a little more from a perspective when it comes to fantasy as well as an NFL offense. So I think Sam Howell probably is the guy that would give them the best chance. I think Brissett is fine. He's just kind of ho-hum. I thought he played well last year with Cleveland, kind of got overlooked a little bit because Deshaun Watson took over, but he actually probably outplayed Watson for Cleveland last year. But still, even with that said, I think Howell has a brighter future, more potential overall. So I think they should go with him at least early in the year and see what they have with him, see what they have, especially with Eric Bieniemy as the offensive coordinator as well. I think that's a big upgrade, and it could be good for Howell also.
All right, looking at the Dallas Cowboys here, their win total at 9.5, and it's juiced over to the over there at -165. But what do you see for the Cowboys here going into the 2023 season? I think the big picture is Dak Prescott, hoping you get a full healthy season out of him, and that's maybe why people are leaning towards the over on that win total. But an offense that loses Zeke, right? But still has like a CeeDee Lamb as the big target. I think losing Dalton Schultz is something we can't overlook for the Cowboys. What are you seeing for them just going into this season?
I like the Cowboys because of their defense. That defense is really good, and they're going to keep them in games. Get after the quarterback, turn the ball over. So I think that's a huge advantage for them, especially if they want to slow down the Eagles' high-powered offense. So I think that defense is going to be a huge plus for them. But the offense, like you mentioned, they need Prescott healthy. They need Tony Pollard healthy too because of their backup situation. They don't have anybody behind him right now. I still wouldn't rule out them signing Zeke. I don't like that from a fantasy perspective, but I wouldn't rule that out, bringing him back at a cheap price if they can. But that is a little bit of a concern, not having much of a backup behind Pollard. But the offense looks good as long as Prescott's there. They have a good receiving core, added Brandon Cooks. That should help make up for the loss of Schultz a little bit. But I agree, Schultz will be missed. He was kind of a good safety net for Dak Prescott in that offense. But overall, they got a lot of weapons. Defense is really good. So I kind of like the over for the win total as well right now.
Yeah.
When you look at the Giants over under at 7.5, are you like a little, why is it 8.5 after we saw the success that Brian Daboll and Wake Martindale had with them last year? You mentioned they won 9 games. They won a playoff game on the road as well. And then you look at, again, it's 7.5. They definitely improved their team. Is that just the Saquon Barkley elephant in the room, you think, that's baked into that number? Because obviously this is 2 different beasts, one with Saquon, one without. Like, Jeff, what is your thought process behind the Giants win total with Saquon and without Saquon?
I mean, it's a huge difference without Saquon, obviously. Right. I mean, what makes that offense go, obviously. Just a tremendous player. And I agree, though. I'm a little bit confused by the win total because they played well last year, kind of surprised people. And like you said, they added some more pieces that should help them, especially offensively. In the passing game a little bit at receiver. I think they should be better there. And another year under Dable should be good for Daniel Jones. He made big strides last year. The defense isn't bad as well. I guess the main thing would be maybe the division. A lot of people think the division's really good with the Cowboys and Eagles at the top. So maybe that drives that total down a little bit when they're coming to setting those over-under for wins. But overall, I like the Giants. I think they could contend for a playoff spot once again and have a solid season.
Yep.
You love to hear it. Oh, Servo, I know you love to hear that. I know you just love to hear that. Let's go.
Maybe. By the way, yeah, we were talking here with Jeff Paur of the senior fantasy writer for RealTime Fantasy Sports, and we're still doing the giveaway. No one has won it yet, but just enter in the chat right now if you want to win a free entry into this best ball championship that RT Sports has going on. First person in the chat right now to just mention any bet that you are making tonight. Could be anything, any player prop. I know Jason Jackson was commenting earlier about a Tanner Beebe chat, so lock that one in. But yeah, wanted to just run through some over-unders. Yeah, I know you're a fantasy guy, Jeff, so just maybe kind of give your feelings on these guys, player props going into the 2023 season. So I'll start with Daniel Jones. Over-under 3,300 and a half passing yards is his prop right now. Are you feeling that over? Or are you feeling the under for a good or bad season from Jones?
I'm feeling the over. I like him to pass that up. I think his receiving core is a little bit better this year. So I have him projected for around 3,600 yards personally. So okay. I like the over. I'm going with that.
All right. How about Jalen Hurts? We were talking about him, how you're high on him. His rushing yards, though, he was a big rushing threat last year. 700 and a half rushing yards is the prop. You going over or under?
I'll go over as well. He's reached that the last 2 seasons. He's rushed for at least 760 yards each of the last 2 years. I do think it would make sense for the Eagles to try to scale it back a little bit to keep him on the field, but it's hard to bet against that with his totals last 2 years. So I'm going to go over.
All right, and then that
was what we said about Lamar Jackson for the last couple of years, and we've seen how that's played out, right?
Exactly.
It's hard to do.
How about CeeDee Lamb? His receiving yards prop at 1,100 and a half receiving yards. Over under that one.
I love CeeDee Lamb this year. I think he could be a top 5 fantasy receiver. I think he's going to have a monster year. His best season to date. So I'm going over again.
Okay, well, a lot of overs here. Love it. Let's see if you're going over under on this last one. We got to get a Washington Commanders prop in here. So let's go Brian Robinson Jr. His rushing yards at 800 and a half rushing yards. You going over under?
I'm going under with that. I'm not a Brian Robinson believer. I actually think Antonio Gibson seems a better fit for that offense with Eric Bieniemy running the show. I think he's a better pass catcher. And I do think Robinson will get some work, but I'm going under for that.
All right. All right. So to wrap up here, you mentioned you like the Eagles here. They are the favorites at -125 to win the division, but the Cowboys at +190. If you think you're a little bit higher on them, could they push the Eagles for the division, or are you taking a chance on the Giants there? The Washington Commanders at +1,200. Where are you going if you had to bet on this division?
I still think I have to stick with the Eagles. I don't know if I believe the Giants and Commanders can overtake those two teams. I just think the Eagles and Cowboys are two really good teams. I think they could both make a run at the Super Bowl with the talent they have on both sides of the ball. So I like the Eagles to finish just ahead of the Dallas Cowboys in the NFC East.
Yeah, those win totals aren't too far apart, so should be tight.
Exactly.
Why do you I'm like, I look at the Eagles offseason after coming off the Super Bowl. Like, I think it's the -125 should be a little bit. There should be a bigger gap between. I know the Cowboys defense is good, and I understand but the Eagles only improved on what was a Super Bowl. They were leading in the Super Bowl at one point. Like, why are they not bigger favorites? I don't know. I look at it differently, I guess, than the Vegas lines indicate.
No, it's a good question. It's a fair point too. Vegas always seems to know though, so it's hard to argue with. It's always hard to argue with Vegas, but I agree. I think the Eagles just look great on paper. It's hard to bet against them right now.
Yeah. To wrap up here, for anyone that is going to be entering into this best ball championship here, I got to ask you a quick fantasy one. You mentioned you're high on Lamb and high on Hurts too, I guess. But if you had to pick any one player from this division, from any of the 4 teams that you are just, is going to have the best fantasy season for those drafting, maybe not in the first couple rounds, but could be a sleeper or anything. Who's your guy that you really like?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know if I consider him a sleeper. He's probably not. He's still an early round pick, but I really think Tony Pollard's going to have a huge year. I mean, he scored nine rushing touchdowns, 3 receiving touchdowns last year with Zeke on the roster. Zeke's gone now. He's going to get the goal line work. I think the offense is going to be good. I think Pollard's just going to have a monster year, and he's a guy I've been targeting in a lot of my early drafts, and I'm really excited to see what he can do in a full-time role.
Awesome.
Agreed.
We'll see if Zeke resigns there or not, and we'll see what happens with Saquon, because those are some definitely some big movers in fantasy and in wagering and all that for this division. So definitely keep an eye on that. Jeff, awesome for you to join us here. Take some time on this Thursday. Again, Jeff Paur, he's the senior fantasy writer at RealTime Fantasy Sports, Fantasy Alarm, Bettor Sports Network, RealTime. We're all a big family now, so it's awesome to have Jeff on. I'm sure we'll have you on again sometime, leading up to the NFL season and throughout the NFL season, talk some odds, talk some fantasy, talk some props, all that. Awesome stuff, Jeff.
Yeah, sounds great. Really enjoyed talking with you both. Looking forward to working with you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
Again, go over to rtsports.com/alarm if you want to get that entry into the Best Ball Championship. Use promo code ALARM23 to find out how you can get into that best ball and get a good discount. And by the way, Jeff is one of the hosts on the RealTime Sports Fantasy Show that aired earlier today, and so you can go check that out in its full entirety over on the Bettor Sports YouTube and Fantasy Alarm YouTube. Just go over to bettorsports.com as well to check that out. Awesome stuff there from Jeff, and yeah, we'll definitely have him on to talk. And by the way, James commented in the chat here, but if anybody else wants to comment and get this best ball giveaway, enter what bet you got locked in for tonight, and you can get an entry into that best ball championship over on rtsports.com. So go check that out over on the chat. Make sure you're commenting in the chat. All right, James, I know we're both high on Tanner here, but let's get to a couple other picks here. What else you got riding for tonight's baseball slate?
Yeah, let's go Los Angeles Dodgers over 4.5 total runs. They have a very nice matchup tonight up against Johan Oviedo, who has looked really bad lately. And it's funny, you look at this team total 4.5, and I see like other places where the Los Angeles Dodgers implied run total is over 5 runs. And that shouldn't come as a surprise. I think typically that's going to be the case when you talk about the Dodgers offense and how high octane it is. But Oviedo has really struggled against lefties this year. And the Dodgers are going to throw 5 to 6 lefties out there tonight. Most notably, obviously, Freeman, Muncy, Peralta, Hayward, Outman. Outman's coming off a game just a few days ago where he double donged, and we know Freddie Freeman's pedigree. Even against righties where he's had some success, he has to deal with Mookie Betts and JD Martinez and those guys and Will Smith. And that's, one of the harder lineups you have to navigate. You look at the last 30 days for Oviedo, his WOBA against right-handers, which has been good on paper for throughout the year, 357 allowed to righties. So the tide's slowly turning to where he's just letting lefties and righties take advantage of him. I love the Dodgers to smash this implied run total tonight. And I wouldn't be surprised, if we clear this early.
Yeah.
And just get to the Pirates bullpen even afterwards.
Yeah. I can get on board with that. I was looking at the over in this one because it's, because of the Dodgers offense, but also just I don't know what we're going to get from Julio Urias here tonight. He was shaky in his last outing against the Royals of all teams. So that's worrisome. But back at home, maybe he is a little bit better. But, I got to pick on the other side of that for the Pirates side of things. I like Brian Reynolds over his hits, runs, RBIs prop because I'm just a little bit worried that, about Urias here. He wasn't even great before the injury. He had a 4.94 ERA this season now and a 5.30 FIP. But yeah, he gave up 5 runs to the Royals in just 3 innings last outing. So I'm a little worried about him. But Reynolds, I think he's waking back up. He went 0 for in his first 2 games back from the IL. But on Tuesday, he went 2 for 5 with an RBI. And then last night he homered and almost hit a second homer too late, but it just went foul. So I think he's getting a little bit more comfortable at the plate now. So I like that from him. And over, his career against Urias, he's 5 for 14, 357 batting average with a home run against Urias in his career. So, the switch hitting Reynolds here against the lefty Urias. And Reynolds also, better numbers on the road this year, which is, encouraging for this road matchup in LA, hitting 305 with an 896 OPS compared to a 234 batting average and 707 OPS at home.
Yeah, I'm kind of confused what happened to Julio Urias too. And you're kind of spot on here. I mean, the righties have a 231 isolated power against him. And for anyone who doesn't know, that measures the power allowed by a pitcher taking extra base hits specifically into account. So 1 extra base hit hits you're over here. And 354 WOBA allowed, which is a weighted on base average. And Reynolds hasn't been great against lefties this year, but it's a small sample. And last year, when you look in a sample double the size of this year, he was 170 ISO, 344 WOBA. So, that should obviously, as the season progresses and we get a bigger sample, kind of even out more. And I think it starts here tonight against Urias. I love Brian Reynolds, and so does my FSGA roster, which is hosted over on RT Sports, and I hope that he does continue to to come through.
Love it. Multiple FSGA lineup references on the show. Love it.
Yep.
I'll throw out another pick here before we get back to you. I like the Arizona Diamondbacks money line. Got a -138 on FanDuel. It's Carlos Carrasco. I mentioned I liked him on the under possible on the strikeouts over at the RT Sports Pick'em contest. But he's got a 5.94 ERA this year, and his FIP and expected ERA are even worse at in the 6s. He's had some decent outings lately, but I just don't see that happening again against the Diamondbacks here on the road. The D-backs are a top 5 offense against righties all season and over the past month. This is just a tough spot. I know last night we had Kodai Senga, go bonkers, 12 strikeouts and a really good outing from him. But I expect the D-backs to jump back onto Carrasco's weaker stuff here than Senga. And then, on the other side, Ryan Nelson is not the best. His ERA is not great, 4.67 this year. His FIP isn't much better at 4.45. But he's coming off a couple good outings against the Giants and Angels. And the Mets offense just doesn't scare me at all. League average against righties all season and over the past month. Last night, they needed a couple of late inning runs to even win that game with behind Senga's good outing. But I think Arizona bounces back here, especially because they lost the first 2 games of the series against the Mets. And I don't think they're getting swept at home, which they haven't been swept at home all season. So I see them winning here tonight. Yeah,
I mean, they're too good of an offense to be bogged down this much. Yeah. And Carrasco's been mostly a reverse splits pitcher this year. But again, over the last 30 days, it's kind of evening out where lefties have a 367 ISO. We know what the pedigree of this Arizona lineup is with their lefties, especially at the top. Perdomo, Marte, Carroll, if they're going to put McCarthy up there as well. Like they have a lot of, and then the middle of that lineup, righty heavy, which Carrasco has been bad against throughout. So I agree. I think Arizona gets to them early and often. I personally think that this is going to need to be a game where they just outscore. Like last night, they need to outpitch the Mets, and it didn't happen. And the Mets got to them. They were down to 1 strike, and the Mets obviously fought back. Neither pitcher in this game has been very good. And I know you mentioned Nelson's been better of late. The last 2 starts have definitely been encouraging. But overall, I'm not ready to go back in on Nelson after 2 starts when the sample of what it's been this year is what it is. I do think Arizona outscores the Mets by but I do think that's what's needed. They need to outscore the Mets in order to
to your point. I mean, I feel maybe a little bit better about the Diamondbacks against Carrasco than just the Mets offense in general against even an average or below average pitcher like Nelson. So
Fair.
yeah, they do need to score some. I'm hoping they score some runs to get there.
Right. Well, I say this all like why I think they're going to score runs because I'm actively targeting Ryan Nelson where I can. I loved what Brandon Nimmo has done lately for the Mets. He has been one of the lone bright spots for the team. And Brandon Nimmo over 1.5 total bases, -105 over on DraftKings. The guy has been awesome and kind of like an unsung hero for the Mets where, he doesn't get as much publicity as the likes of Lindor and Alonso and what Tommy Pham has done lately. And Francisco, honestly, Buck Showalter gets more rub than Brandon Nimmo because it's like, why is he still managing this team, right? And Steve Cohen is in the news more than Brandon Nimmo. But Brandon Nimmo has 5 home runs over his last 10 games. He has 6 home runs over his last 13 games overall. He hits right-handed pitching extremely well. 223 ISO, second on the team. 373 WOBA, second on the team as well. And again, Ryan Nelson has been someone who struggles mightily against lefties. 224 isolated power allowed, 367 WOBA on the year. It's just not good for Ryan Nelson. Unfortunately for the Mets, they don't have a real left. They have a good amount of lefties they could throw. Lindor's a switch hitter. If they wanted to play Vogelbach, he's a lefty. Brett Beatty, but Brandon Nimmo is the tip of the spear when it comes to left-handed bats in this Mets lineup, and I think he's going to get it going early. I wanted to play the Nimmo hits, runs, RBIs, but it was -170. But I like the total bases regardless. I think you could play both if you really wanted to, and I'm definitely gonna be targeting Ryan Nelson with the Brandon Nimmo total bases.
Yeah, he could go yard again tonight and hit that over. Yep. So yeah, the Nelson, I'm not too confident in him anchoring a win here for the Diamondbacks, but hopefully we get an 11-10 final. I'd be fine with it.
11-10.
Yeah, that'd be
great in the DFS streets too. If we get 21 runs, we get 21 runs from that game for sure.
And speaking of DFS, by the way, after us, Grande is pulling double duty with Colby Conway on the MLB DFS show coming up at 5:00 Eastern.
Fensty, me and Fensty coming up.
Okay.
Yeah, Fensty's on the ones and twos. He's filling in for Colby.
Okay.
Colby's taking a nice little trip. He's on his every 2 week schedule where he works 2 weeks and then goes on vacation. Colby has it better than everyone here at Fantasy Alarm.
I think Fency could pick up the slack though. No worries. All right, another pick I got for tonight. We're gonna get to our home run calls in just a sec here, but I like the Cardinals team total over 3.5. It's Yuri Perez for the Marlins, which is tough on paper. He's been really impressive, but I just think some negative regressions coming for him after his hot start this rookie season. His 3.59 expected ERA and 3.61 FIP are a lot higher, full run more than his 2.47 ERA this season. He's got an unsustainable 87% left on base rate, a hard hit rate at 42%, a little bit worrisome. He's kind of just getting by a really good fastball, hard fastball there. But the Cardinals are a tough matchup. The Cardinals are top tier offense against right-handed pitching lately, actually 342 WOBA and 117 WRC plus over the last 2 weeks, and a low strikeout rate too, which is, Perez won't have all those strikeouts that he usually gets. And the Cardinals have, gone over this team total 3.5. They scored 4+ runs in 11 of their last 16 games. They haven't been winning a ton because their pitching's let them down, but their offense is doing its thing. So I like the team total side of things for the Cardinals. Regression is just coming from Perez. He just gave up 6 runs in the first inning before getting pulled. He didn't even get out of the first inning. His last start against the Braves, obviously tough matchup, but the Cardinals are, a legit top 10 offense against right-handed pitching lately. So I think this will be a tough spot for Perez.
Yeah, it was a home run derby for the Braves, like they tend to do. They have their own personal home run derbies every so often. I like Yuri Perez a lot. I am definitely a Yuri Perez truther, and I think he's going to continue to be awesome. But 3.5 runs,
It's low.
the offense hasn't necessarily, like you said, the offense isn't what's giving them issues. It's the constant bad pitching that they expected to not be this bad. I mean, I know Adam Wainwright's old and he probably shouldn't be pitching, but he was really good last year. Jordan Montgomery was awesome for them last year. They expected him to be good. They expected their bullpen to be better, and they're not. Like
Jack Flaherty was on the mound tonight, and he hasn't been as good.
Right. It's like, yes, is Goldschmidt having an MVP caliber year again? No, he's not. But the offense hasn't been the entire problem. They obviously, they've suffered some injuries, but I do agree. I do like the team total going over 3.5. Not like I don't expect them to like double this number, but there was always regression coming with Yuri Perez because, he's 19 years old with not fully developed pitches. He hadn't pitched above AA before his call up. There was obviously regression coming. And I do think the Cardinals can get to him. And the Marlins bullpen, for what it's worth, has been like good. Like they deserve some credit, but it's not like it's not anything that's like the Marlins bullpen is the best thing in baseball. They rank where did I see them ranking? They are middle of the pack. They have the 11th worst ERA. So even if Yuri Perez doesn't get crushed, 11th worst ERA in baseball for the Marlins bullpen. Cardinals can get to them as well.
Yeah, I like that. All right, you got any more picks before we get to home run calls?
Yeah, I'll go one more. Johan Oviedo, just to pair with my over 4.5 total runs for the Dodgers. He's going to get hit here. He's been bad against righties and lefties over the last 30 days. He's been bad against lefties the entire year. And he has to face one of the 3 best offenses in baseball, And I feel like that just kind of is signifying of what's to come. And then the cherry on top is the Pirates have a bottom 10 bullpen ERA in baseball. It's like you turn it over to anyone but David Bednar at the end of games, and things do not go well for the Pittsburgh Pirates. So I like Oviedo to get hit early and often and over 2.5 runs.
The other thing I like about that prop is I think he's going to be a candidate to pitch. Even if he lets up a few runs, I feel like they're going to want him to go into the 6th inning or so because this Pirates-Dodgers series has seen a lot of pitchers from both bullpens. Yes. So I think on the Pittsburgh side of things, they're going to be looking for, even if he lets up 2 runs early, he's going to be into the game, a lot deeper than other starters that get into trouble early.
Dude, they did that to him the last start against Milwaukee. He gave up like 5 runs in the first inning, and they're like, "All right, dude, we need some innings here." And he ended up giving 8 runs over 5 innings. It was like this poor guy just out here just eating it for his team. But they've already shown they're like, "All right, dude, like we need you to get into game." So even if you're getting shelled, like good luck out there.
My last pick here before we do some home run calls. The rookie, he just got called up yesterday, Colton Cowser for the Baltimore Orioles. He's the cover athlete for the MLB prospect article up on the website, up on Fantasy Alarm right now by Matt Sells. So definitely go check that out. But I'm going over his 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs prop. He did it last night in his debut. He went 1 for 4 with a run scored and an RBI. He's hitting 7th in the Orioles lineup, which I think is solid for RBI chances against Severino tonight. I just, Severino, I don't know what's going on with him. I'm waiting for a bounce back. Maybe you could tell me as a Yankees guy, Grande, but it hasn't been going great. I don't think he's going to have a lot of success tonight, even though the Orioles lineup isn't as scary as others. But Severino against left-handed hitters, which Cowser is, by the way, he's allowing a 270 batting average and 362 WOBA to lefties this season. Cowser, he hit 330 at AAA before being called up. I think he can kind of ride his hot wave. I liked what he did last night. And it gives me more confidence that he can, either get 2 hits or get a hit in our RBI tonight.
Yeah, it's all bad. You actually gave Luis Severino more credit than he deserves. He's been downright
It's bad.
awful.
It's pretty bad.
It's been, other than the one start against Texas, it's been downright awful.
Which is ironic.
Right. I mean, Texas is your one good start, really. I mean, yeah, this is a great spot for him. You mentioned Severino struggles against lefties. It's a good ballpark to be a lefty batter in at Yankee Stadium. Like, he's in it. Look, the Orioles have a lot of really good numbers against right-handed pitching. So there's going to be a lot of run producing opportunity. There's also two guys behind him in Jordan Westberg who had hit righties extremely well at the minor league level. He is another top prospect that the Orioles called up. And then Ramon Urias, hitting ninth, also hits righties better than he hits lefties. Like, if Kowser's on in front of those two guys, or he's on and Gunnar Henderson comes to the plate at some point with him on base, like, there's a lot of run scoring opportunity there's a lot of ways that this Kowser prop can hit for you, because he's really good himself. He has good players hitting behind him and, like, potentially the top of the lineup when he's on base. Like, there's a lot of things for you that could go right. And I mean, he's a stud. Let's face it. Like you said, he is one of the top prospects in baseball before the call up. And this is what the Orioles have done. They stockpiled top pick after top pick after top pick. And those top picks have turned into Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rutschman, Jordan Westberg, Colton Kowser, all in their lineup tonight. And it's like, holy cow, like, this team is actually here to stay and compete. So I love the Kowser play over 1.5. I think this is, with Severino continues to pitch the way he is, an easy smash at almost plus money. So I love that, Servo. I think that's one of your. I mean, one of the you've had some good ones. One of the best ones.
Wow.
Of today's.
And that was a late ad for me. You know, right before we went live, I was like, I got to throw this one in there because, you know, I am betting it, so why not? All right, I got the Grande approval, even from a Yankees guy. He approves. All right, let's wrap things up here. Talking our daily dingers for tonight.
He'll need a rocket up his ass to catch this one. That baby is out of here.
Now that's a dinger.
All right, home run calls here to wrap up the evening before Grande leaves to talk some DFS with Fensty. Who you got going deep tonight?
So, for Servo, as you know, I like attacking Lance Lynn at all costs.
Yep.
At all costs, with left-handed bats. Lance Lynn takes the mound at 5:10 right after we hop off here, and he's facing the Blue Jays lineup, who has one lefty specifically that I want to target, and it's Brandon Belt. And Brandon Belt is gonna belt one tonight, Servo. He has the best ISO mark outside of Kevin Biggio, who has a much smaller sample size, 204 ISO, which is an elite mark for left-handed bats, 374 WOBA against righties. But the kicker here, Lance Lynn, and we last Thursday or Tuesday we did the show. Lance Lynn faced the Angels. Moniak led the game off with the home run. We're sitting here like, oh, there goes Lance Lynn against lefties again, sucking it up. 309 ISO, 449 WOBA allowed, 51% hard contact rate, 30% fly ball rate. It's all bad for Lance Lynn against lefties. Give me Brandon Belt plus 360 to go yard.
I can completely get behind this because yesterday's show, I gave out Belt as my home run call, but the game got canceled and pushed to today. And yeah, you mentioned early start, 5:10 Eastern. So yeah, and yesterday, by the way, I think it was plus 310 odds, and he's plus 360. What? So.
Well, getting a juice here, and I stole it from you. And I'm getting a juice here. Let's go.
I would have put it in again, but I saw you put it in, and I was like, I'll just agree with him, and throw in a different one for me. And I'm going Lourdes Gurriel, picking on Carrasco here again. Carrasco's allowed 12 homers in his 11 starts this year, and 9 of his 12 have come to right-handed hitters. Also allowing a 299 batting average, 598 slug against righties. And Gurriel's had some recent power surge here. 3 homers in his last 6 games. And 13 of his 14 home runs this season have come against righties himself. So, little reverse splits for both guys. But I'm going Lourdes Gurriel plus 600 on DraftKings.
Yeah, he has been, if not, I mean, Corbin Carroll's been their MVP, but he has been like an unsung hero for them,
Yeah.
especially against right-handed pitching.
All-star.
He's only, yeah, 267 ISO is second on the team, 355 WOBA is tied for third. He has been awesome in the power department, and this is something that he had none of last year. Like, the power was sapped out of the clouds, and now it's all the way back in Arizona. I'm assuming they're going to close the roof, but it's like 107 degrees in Arizona tonight. And I mean, we talked about it, like that. There's going to be offense in that game. There's 10 implied runs for a reason.
Yeah.
I think Lourdes that's a great number. That's a great number for Lourdes Gurriel home run. That's a great number.
I was surprised to see that number at plus 600.
It's a great number. I mean, he's their against righties. Like, I know Christian Walker is like more prolific as an overall power hitter, but the numbers are leaning Lourdes Gurriel's way as the second best power hitter on this team outside of Corbin Carroll. And you mentioned it. Carrasco's worse against righties. The glove fits. The glove fits.
We both like our home run calls, so yeah. I would parlay those together. What are those odds? That'd be some juicy odds there. All right, coming up after us, maybe James is playing some Gurriel and DFS tonight. You'll have to tune in to find out. The MLB DFS Quick Pitch Live show here on Bettor Sports Network coming up at 5 o'clock Eastern, just a couple minutes away, with Justin Fensterman as a co-host there. Appreciate everyone watching and tuning in today. Some awesome NFL talk with Jeff Paur. If you missed any of that, you can rewind on this YouTube or Twitter, wherever you're watching. But we'll be back tomorrow at 4 o'clock Eastern. James, good luck with your bets. Good luck with all your bets, everyone that watched and tuned in, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks.